killing it. I need some help. I'm going to start now. Hello, Internets. I'm Joe.
Hey, guys. Just cool enough here.
Joe's having performance anxiety.
I do have performance anxiety. It's been a really rough week for me. Can't you tell?
No.
Why don't you tell us about it, Joe?
Well, it's just been such a tough week because there's so much coming out for E3 and everything, and I just so excited to talk about it.
And what is one of the most exciting things that you remember coming out of E3? Because I know there's a crap ton of stuff.
You know, I had things that bothered me.
Well, that's not what the question was. I want to know what you were excited about.
I'm actually this year's E3 and just the demos and stuff around E3. I was really excited about the 3D gaming aspects that have been presented, and I think today is, or the 3D and virtual reality that's going on. Blah 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 blah. I don't know, but I mean that's what I'm excited about, the 3D stuff. What about you guys?
Well, I mentioned before that I really liked the HoloBand idea. It was really cool seeing them be able to use the television camera too to project some of it, and the fact that it can go from being a two-dimensional surface to becoming something you could use in 3D, and I mean on a tabletop. Which, yes, I know you probably roll your eyes, but it did occur to me the moment that I saw that the practical applications it would have for D&D in real world, and the fact that you could, in fact, tabletop game over the internet while playing D&D with that kind of thing. So bring back some of that old school feel to Dungeons & Dragons.
I thought that was kind of cool. I really did. But the thing that really resonated with me with the 3D stuff was like, holy shit, I've been wanting to play a racing game or like a space simulation game for so long, and normally you would need 3 monitors or something if you wanted to do it right, but you can just go buy like I don't know, a $400 3D headset and have all that stuff put together.
And open up a cardboard box that has cut one side out, open the cardboard box up, and then you have that 3D.
Yeah, and so like I was actually really excited about it, and people were saying that it's just so much better. There's a much better implementation, so people with weird eye problems can play. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing going on. Is that at all something that you're interested in, Eric?
I have no idea what I mean, because I didn't watch any of the conferences. I didn't. So I don't know all the other stuff that I've just been watching trailers for video games because YouTube, because they bought out Twitch, has a really awesome thing. So they have like basically all of the trailers and shit. So just over the past few days when new trailers are released, they're all in this one place. So that's all. So I have no idea what this 3D thing that you're talking about.
Well,
So this HoloBand, and I believe that's what they're calling it. You know, it looks kind of like old school 3D glasses, but you put it around your head, it sits on top of your head. And the cool thing about it is you can grab your PlayStation controller, whatever it is that you're using, and the person wearing the HoloBand set is the only person who can see essentially the screen, which looked at first like it was projected on the wall. I was like, oh, they're like using like 3D glasses. But as it turned out, because they also equipped the camera that was following them around for the demo with the ability to see this, when they flipped to a camera that wasn't wearing these kind of glasses effects, there's nothing on the wall. So the only person that could see it is the person wearing the glasses.
So that's called AR, augmented reality. So there's
Correct.
VR and then there's AR. So
Is it actually called HoloBand? Because I googled HoloBand and all I see is pictures.
I think you're talking about HoloLens. There was some.
Yeah, 'cause
It was It was Microsoft HoloLens.
HoloBand is what they had in Caprica, and that shitty prequel to Battlestar Galactica.
It is HoloLens. All right, and the other cool thing to this thing was at one point they said, well, maybe they had 2 people playing Minecraft in the demo together. Like, well, we could also do a 3D look at the map on a tabletop, and they were able to project it in 3 dimensions. And the guy wearing the HoloLens could control the map with his hand, or do certain things by motioning his hand at certain parts of the map. So
But
it was really cool.
But now,
But
like,
we could see it.
Right. So there's the Microsoft HoloLens, Sony has one, Valve has one, Nvidia's developing one, rumored, and of course there's Oculus Rift. It's just like I feel like we're in the new console wars, like at the beginning in the early '80s when it was like Atari versus like Nintendo versus I don't know all the other companies that fell off the map.
Yeah, I agree that it's everybody racing to do something that's terrible. It's not the new console war; it's the new motion control. Everyone wants motion control, and they're trying to be the best and biggest, and then they're going to realize nobody actually wants it.
Well, and that's the thing. Like for the Wii motion control, I remember like buying into the hype, and I was there day one for the Wii. You could actually listen back through archives of me being excited about it, like, oh, it's happening this week, and I hope history doesn't repeat itself with the virtual reality stuff, but I really do see a use for it, even outside of gaming, with the augmented reality, like Ike was talking about for the Microsoft HoloLens stuff. I think that's actually what's going to bring it and make it an interesting thing that's going to be used.
I agree that augmented reality is a big thing, that it'll be awesome in 15 years when it actually exists, not what this shit is now that it's gonna have. It's like
I don't know, man. Like I've put on an Oculus Rift and was relatively impressed where it was at, and I think a few years of refinement, this thing's really ready for mainstream. And judging by the tech demos and everything that I've seen, like I legitimately might even get one of these so I can do racing simulations at my, like, I could already see myself just sitting there like just like with a steering wheel and these goggles on, like playing this. You don't need a bunch of space. You could do it pretty much anywhere. I don't know. Do you think it's going to take 15 years before it's fully developed and mature?
I'm talking about augmented reality. I mean, yeah, you could. I fucking have Google Cardboard. I can fucking, and that kind of works sometimes. But like, actually being able to project a thing onto your table and all that stuff, that is so far away.
No, dude, look at the HoloLens demo. It's freaking nuts.
Yeah, is that real? I mean, are you trusting companies now for that kind of shit now? Because they can't even make.
They claim.
We've had video games since the 70s, and they still can't release a trailer for a video game that isn't like dolled up and on a not real engine and stuff like all the graphics look way better than they will on release and stuff like that.
Okay.
I mean, I've even gone as far as like I found an app on my phone for some cool augmented reality stuff where they combine noise and shapes together, so you can make art, but you have to have the little piece of paper that you're projecting onto in order to interact with the piece that you're creating. So, I mean, I don't think it's too far away, but I do think it's going to be like when we look back at the original Final Fantasy VII now, and you're like, holy shit, look at all the polygons. And you're like, that could have been what it could be now. Is it makes you go back and like,
dude, check out this GIF. Tell me that's not real life. Like,
they claim that it was working tech running a program in real time.
Yeah, they claim that about video games every E3.
Yeah, but there's been other tech demos before E3 with this HoloLens thing. This is just the first gaming application that we've really seen it working.
I'm kind of like looking at the video without sounds, but I mean, is that how you want to play Minecraft? Like moving a tiny little dude around, and then he's using like the
little pinch and zoom
Minority Report.
I think that's annoying. Like I don't.
My touchscreen phone has like a pinch and zoom doesn't work half the time because.
Yeah, and
I mean, is it gonna be how I want to play Minecraft? Not necessarily, but if I'm thinking like, you could totally evolve all of those stupid games that you're seeing for Facebook, the war games. Think about Total War, being able to play something like that where it's much more of a tabletop battlefield.
See, I still don't think that we're gonna lose the controller altogether and start waving Minority Report Tony Stark style. I think that we're still gonna be primarily playing with a thing over our head and a controller, and that controller, whether it's a steering wheel or a joystick or just a normal multi-purpose controller for a PlayStation or an Xbox, I still think that's going to be our primary way of moving around. But I see like games where you're stationary, if you're piloting something or there's a simulation, I can really see this being like the bee's knees. I think it's going to be really cool. I can't wait.
On the flip side, though, of this kind of augmented reality, I remember seeing that pizza commercial recently where the three kids are playing some kind of a game with their VR sets on, and one of them stops to walk over to the microwave and open up the microwave and grab something out, but you see his character in game like open up an invisible door and like reach into someplace, and like games wouldn't be that way yet because you're not going to be inside the game because otherwise running around.
You guys do remember the Wii demo, like when they were showing off the controller, they hadn't even shown games, and they just showed like the guy hiding behind his couch with his little nunchuck. Do you remember like actually
I know,
with the Wii, and you're just like sitting there going,
just wiggling it around, just
making as little movement as possible because you realize your arms hurt when you do it too much, so you're just like, oh.
Yeah, and that's why I say for stationary things it makes a lot of sense. And I went to E3. I went to CES this year, and they had all these like the never-ending room thing where you're able to like run in place and have a gun and like or you're. Got your Wii control there. That's the Wii. Well, that's after you played Zelda for 3 hours. You got that weird look on your face, and you're just
and then, like fucking Zelda, like the new Zelda that came out on the Wii. It was like, oh, with Motion Plus, and that game's garbage because it barely works because it's like because the Motion Plus doesn't fucking work half the time. You're like, I don't know, and then your arm hurts because you have to stand while you do it. It's
yeah.
bullshit.
Did not like that, but so it sounds like we're kind of like. Are you buying it into the Kool-Aid here? You drinking the Kool-Aid for augmented reality and 3D gaming?
I mean, I think there's a lot of really interesting practical application, and it goes beyond gaming. I think you started touching on the fact, and there was a video that Microsoft did put out, which might be kind of what Eric's saying with it's not real yet, but it did also. It was kind of cool because they showed somebody trying to design a motorcycle, like engineer a motorcycle, and they're sitting there and they had, instead of, you've seen those car commercials where they have the little clay car that they made out of, whatever, that gives you the idea of what the form's going to look like, but now you could actually, they have people pretending to work in 3D augmented reality to create this motorcycle so that they could see a miniature scaled down version next to them on the desk while they're doing all the changes in the computer.
I just like I can remember technologies like the automated house, like that fell out the mid '90s. Everybody wanted their house to be automated. Like look at Back to the Future, right?
It was even more. It was further back in the mid '90s when you go back to the '60s and like. And Dale will have robots that will do your laundry for you. And it's like,
your whiskey will be brought to you by your robot dog. Yeah, like it was supposed to be like Jetson style by now. And so, technology has evolved a little differently. But I think back to 80s virtual technology and where we're at now, and that's a pretty big leap. And I think we've been making leaps and strides in the past few years on this stuff. Finally, we finally have the processing power and the ability to make the graphics somewhat believable. So I don't know. I think probably I'm gonna say 2 years, and that's gonna be the big like that's gonna be 2 years from right now. E3, we're gonna be like, if you don't have one of these things, you'll be an early adopter for super awesome gaming, right?
So what are you saying? Because you're like,
I don't know.
If you don't have one of these, then you're not an early adopter.
No, you're totally right. If you buy one now, you're an early adopter. I think in 2 years we're gonna be like, yeah, dude, get the freaking whatever shield thing from NVIDIA.
I disagree. I don't think it. I think it's a cool thing, but I can't see it catching on in the next 10 years because we've developed so much of our technology.
And like totally, like watches wouldn't make any comeback because we all have cell phones now. Who would need a watch that like does all this cool stuff too?
I don't.
Comeback. I know you're making a sarcastic joke about Apple Watches, but Apple Watch is bullshit and it's useless. It doesn't have that many functions. It's not. It's a garbage piece of technology.
I'd have to agree with you there. I definitely have to agree with you there. Even though the Apple Watch is outselling all major watches and all major smartwatches.
Oh wow, they're taking over a market that nobody wants.
I know, but like it's still
selling watches. You mean that dead piece? It's like, wow, this is the fastest selling rotary phone we've ever made. Like,
I'm not bullish on that technology, but I do think augmented reality and VR is going to come a long way in the next few years. But I mean, because even Oculus came out, they're like, okay, if you're going to want to use our product, you're going to have to spend $1,500 between your computer and our product. And I don't think that's unreasonable for adopting a new technology and a new style of play that's totally immersive. I don't think that's unreasonable. I think it will start catching on.
I'm saying it's a fun novelty, but it's never. I don't think it'll be the norm.
Really, see, like you've read Snow Crash.
Yeah, and in that it's like because that's more fantasy. The idea that you put on a pair of goggles and you're immediately transported into this world. That's an amazing thing, and I would love for that to happen, but I can't see that happening for at least a decade.
Even with my, I have eye problems, right? And it's hard for me to really enjoy 3D. And even with the 3D experience that I experienced on the development version of the Oculus Rift, which was half the resolution of what the ship version is, or the version that's going to production is, I mean, it was still.
Can we just start the show?
All right, let's get rid of it. Yeah. Hello, internet. So, but yeah, so like it was still one of those experiences. I'm like, oh, this is pretty close. I feel good. I feel good about it. All right, fine.
I would side with Eric that I don't think in the next 2 to 3 years you're going to see major leaps and bounds. But Eric did say maybe in a decade or more. I could definitely see. But I don't think it's going to be just gaming. I think this has practical application, education, and being able to experience multimedia, not just video games.
When it gets to that Iron Man level where you don't have to put on some giant fucking contraption on your head, then yeah, it'll be a huge thing. When it's a fucking holodeck.
But now you're looking at you are looking at the holodeck. That's essentially what you're talking about, though. So you want a hologram that you can.
When it's that, it will catch on and be the norm. But when it's like, hey, just strap this thing to your face for it's like, hey, you know how an 8-hour workday is fun? Well, do it with this heavy computer strapped to your fucking head.
Yeah, but those heavy computers will get smaller and faster, and the ability to do more too at the same time.
Yeah, I do think 2 years is probably very wishful thinking. But but what I mean is, in the next 2 years, I'm probably going to purchase one of these things regardless, and I'm going to tell you how great it is. Yeah. Just so I remember back at 283 when I was having a bad day, or whatever, 285. Well, totally worth it. This is the best.
And then something will happen, and then you'll tell us how shit it is in 6 months.
Just like the Wii.
So does that mean that you'll be able to use your augmented reality glasses to make your girlfriend look like anybody you want them to look like? So then you're gonna have this whole moral issue come up.
There's this great show on this British show called Black Mirror. That's kind of like a sci-fi sort of Twilight Zone type anthology show. And there's this great episode that involves everyone's got these implants that let them it records all your memories, and you can go back and play them to people and stuff like that. And there's this great scene where this husband and wife, they're having this really passionate sex, but then you think it's wow, it's nice that they've been married, and then it switches and you realize they're not having sex. They're having sex, but they're both playing memories of them having sex at a previous time. So they're in real life, they're dead-eyed and stuff like that and going at it, but they're playing the memory of them having sex at a different day.
It's crazy that's probably going to happen. That's totally going to happen. I believe it. I'm bullish on that technology. The porn industry picks up on it. Augmented reality porn. It's going to put all the red light districts out of business all over the world. We're going to have a bunch of unemployed street walkers.
No, because it's never going to be the same as being with a real person.
It's fleshlights in 3D. That's the new future.
I don't think so. Because it's
why? Do you have some sort of story behind that, Eric?
So basically, you're going towards Sword Art Online now, Joe.
It's gonna be like Sword Art Online, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have a kid, and it's gonna be really weird after that in game. A couple other things that in our comments on YouTube, you can make a comment on the show on YouTube.
By the way, I was gonna talk I was going to talk so much about how much I like Fallout Shelter, but then Rad Roaches killed half my fucking shelter, so now fuck that game. Because I was really happy with it. I was like, it's a free-to-play game, and it's like hurry up and wait kind of stuff, but it's not pay to win because there's no in-game currency. You spend real money on these lunch boxes that can have random things that could help you, but there's no guarantee that it's exactly what you're looking for. But then Rad Roaches showed up and killed half my fucking settlement.
Dude, I'm so jealous that you're playing. I really wish I could download that. It
Fuck
looks
that
really.
game. It's stupid. I don't like it anymore.
So Fallout actually had some really big, or Fallout, the Bethesda had some really big announcements with the whole Fallout thing. Like there's a dog.
Yeah, it's like every other Fallout. I don't know. I don't know what it's. I love Fallout, but it looks just like every other Fallout. Nothing
Right.
about it it looks like there's some improvement. There's a whole like building your own settlement, which could be interesting.
I think that's the coolest thing for me.
But
That
it's
whole
just like,
building.
hey, you're a guy from the shelter with a dog. It's like, you mean like every other Fallout game? And it looks.
But this
just
one,
like,
the dog won't die. It's impossible.
yeah, fucking who cares? It's.
So yeah, the most interesting thing in that Fallout announcement was the fact that they have a Pip-Boy app that'll work with your iPhone or Android phone, and you can rubber band it to your arm unless you get the special edition, and then you actually comes with a Pip-Boy surround for your arm that you can slide your phone into and use it like the Pip-Boy in Fallout, and it actually affects what you're doing in the game through the app, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, that seems like that.
Like they admitted though, it's gimmicky. But he said in his speech, it is the fucking most awesome gimmicky.
Right.
That you're going to see
I like that they just embraced it. Like, listen, it's really gimmicky, and it's also kind of cool. So here you go. Good luck.
We know it. You know it. We admit it.
Yeah, it's a free app. Just go download it when the game comes out. If you got a special edition, you'll be able to slide your smartphone into this thing, and you'll do. I think did somebody during the conference say, "Don't bring that thing outside" or something? Or it was maybe one of the comments. They're like, "If I see anybody wearing that outside of their house, not playing Fallout, I'm going to punch him in the face." And I'm like, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like you should punch somebody in the
Hold on,
face.
wait, I gotta get my phone call.
Yeah, boop, boop. So, and the other thing, actually, and this is what Danny said in our comments here, he says Shenmue 3, which I thought was pretty terrible the way they announced it. Are you guys privy to anything that happened here?
I don't. Again, I only watch trailers and shit, but I know it's they're doing a Kickstarter for Shenmue 3.
This is okay. So they're on this giant big stage, a humongous stage, crowds of people backed by a billion-dollar company, and they're just like, "All right, we're doing a Kickstarter for if you want to play this game, just give us a little bit of money and push it over the edge, and you could do a Kickstarter for Shenmue 3." And so part of me was really mad about that. I'm like, what kind of big company does that and thinks like people are going to fund them? But apparently it's been working out. Yeah, Square Enix, it's been working out pretty well for them. But I also think that this is a really interesting way for people to go about doing business in the games industry, because it's kind of like, okay, you want the game? Fine, pay us for the game right now. We'll make it for you. It was a little less wholesome than the way Double Fine did it.
Well, because Double Fine is not a publisher, or they are now, but they are a development studio who said, "Hey, we want to make our own thing and make this and have it be our whole vision and all that stuff in our complete control." Whereas those, I don't know much about the Shenmue thing, but Square Enix is a publisher that could easily fund that, but also Square Enix is fucking horrible because that's why I don't get, like, I never really liked Final Fantasy, and I never played Final Fantasy VII, but I know it's this huge, everybody loves it. But people are like flipping out that they announced a remake, which is silly because, first of all, Square Enix announces a new game every 3 weeks, and half of them are never made. They just showed a CGI trailer, which is whatever. And the people who are making it are not the people who made Final Fantasy VII. None of that studio doesn't exist anymore. Like, this is Square Enix, a bunch of people who make terrible, shitty games now.
You know, and I
the
just
people who make Final Fantasy 13, not the people who
But all they're doing is reskinning an already existing thing. Well,
We don't
I mean,
know that.
they're gonna have to remake it completely, but they just have to follow the formula and repeat it exactly.
They're not gonna though. They're gonna do a bunch of shit that
We introduced this real-time mechanic where you have to, do this mini game to get this to
No, it's
just
gonna be pay to win stuff because that's
pay to, yeah.
So
they love that stuff.
I also noticed though that EA announced FIFA 16. I actually think they should have come up with a 16.5, which is kind of a sandbox concept similar to GTA, except you get to either play on the side of the FBI or the FIFA executives doing a bunch of shady fucking deals, and then you go from there.
So FIFA Manager 2016. you're
Seriously.
actively dodging taxes and
I don't mean to derail the show, but I got a friend named Eric. Been on the show before, and guess what he is doing right now? He's at fucking E3, and he keeps sending me pictures of fucking shit at E3. He played Star Wars Battlefront. He just sent us a picture of him dressed as an X-wing pilot sitting in an X-wing. Fuck that guy.
I hate that guy.
Fuck
I hate him.
everything about that guy.
I'm so mad. I don't like him at all. I've only met him like once, and I don't like him at all. He smells funny too.
He's one of my best friends, and fuck that guy. I don't like him.
I don't like him one bit. Take him away. Actually, can I see the picture though? It's kind of cool. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I'm all kinds of jealous for that. Yeah. So I don't know. This E3 seemed pretty eventful, but wasn't really it wasn't really the year for Nintendo and Sony.
I keep hearing people complaining, but from what I like, everything I'm seeing, it's like Nintendo was fucking terrible because they didn't announce all these games that they would have never announced anyways. That I just assumed that they didn't announce 7 new Zelda games and a sequel to Smash Brothers and also a new Metroid and also a new it's like,
well, they did do a new Metroid.
Yeah,
but it's not really Metroid Prime. It's just like a Metroid title.
Whatever. They got fucking Star Fox, which looks like a GameCube game, but whatever.
Right. Then they even alluded to a new console. They're just like, well, maybe we'll come out with something different.
I forget where I read it. It might have been Destructoid, but the headline was Nintendo's press conference failed to live up to my unrealistic expectations.
Is it The Onion? Because it sounds like
actually no, it was Destructoid. Nintendo lost E3 because it failed to exceed my unreasonably high expectations.
So yeah, I don't know. I never really. I don't feel like this year was. It's.
It seems like there's a lot of really awesome games. Like I don't know. I didn't watch any of the press conference, so I'm like, oh cool. So Star Wars, oh cool. The Deus Ex, oh cool. Look at all those games, oh cool. Mass Effect. Oh, cool.
Yeah, the only really slimy thing was just the Sony thing rubbed me the wrong way, and I still don't know how to feel about it.
Well, it's fun. I was reading, I stopped reading Twitter because it just filled with all these people commenting on shit from E3 that live tweeting the press conferences that I wasn't watching anyways. But apparently, this is the first year they did a PC gaming press conference where it was like a whole event dedicated to PC gaming, hosted by Day 9 or something like that. And apparently, it was utter garbage. Like it was just so terrible. And the best part is the final guest was Gabe Newell, and everyone knew this. So everyone knew he was going to announce Half-Life 3, despite the fact that Valve stopped making games 5 years ago. They knew it was going to be Half-Life 3. Gabe Newell was going to come out and say, and then he didn't announce jack shit because he
was like, we're working on 3D stuff. Check it out.
They're never going to make a Half-Life 3 because they don't make video games anymore. They make money now. They don't make. It's never going to happen. Give up.
I hadn't played a Half-Life. Honest, that's something I have to admit. I never beat Half-Life 2.
I replayed it a couple of years ago, and it's still really good. And I
mean,
would love it if they made another, but they're not going to do that.
I just couldn't do it. It was fun to play, but I'm like, you know what I really want to use this engine to play? More Counter-Strike. Yeah. I want to play some Counter-Strike. That's what I was playing. But
speaking of Nintendo, Joe, you were part of this the other day. Kind of.
Was I?
But they had the Nintendo World Championships on the other day.
I guess I was kind of part of that. I wasn't. I did win the championship. You're right.
The guy who ended up going all the way and like I think playing Smash Brothers Brawl against the VP of Nintendo or something like that, ended up winning against him, and then shot him down. Was like, "Hey, apparently you don't even know how to play your own game." Was pretty much what the guy said. The VP answered with, "That's because I sit in an office and make money all day."
Is that what he said?
Pretty much.
He's like, yeah, well, keep buying my $60 game, you idiot, with the roster update. Super Smash Bros. 2016, sponsored by EA.
I will say one of the things that interests me is the guys Tripwire who make Killing Floor announced Rising Sun 2, which will take place in Vietnam. So I'm interested to see how that. Because I really.
Are you
like
joking?
Rising
Really?
Yeah, it's Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, and so I'm really excited for that because I really liked Rising Storm a lot. I thought it and those guys. I mean, I love Killing Floor as well, but yeah, I'm excited to see how that turns out. And also this game called Take on Mars, which I didn't know much about. Seems really interesting. It's like DayZ, only instead of zombies, you're trying to survive on Mars with multiplayer. So hopefully it's not garbage.
It's like that new movie that you said to watch over
The
that.
Martian.
Yeah.
There's the other title I heard about, something like I think it's like Halo something. I think.
Well,
it's just
yeah,
Halo.
there's a new
I heard
Halo,
that might
but
go.
Who
That might
gives
go
a
places.
shit?
That little game. Yeah.
I don't have an Xbox One, and I don't foresee myself getting one. I was kind of like I watched part of the gameplay for Uncharted. I'm like, oh, it looks like Uncharted.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, maybe someday.
So what else did you guys pick up on the Steam sale this week then?
I picked up. I got two things. I got Wolfenstein New Order, which I played a little bit, but I want to get through the rest of The Witcher. But the hour or so I got into it, I really like Wolfenstein New Order. It's really good.
You're not the first person that picked it up and told me that. They're like, you should, you know what? This is actually a really good story, and it's a pretty good shooter too.
Yeah, it's like a super solid like old school throwback shooter, but with modern graphics and gameplay shooting elements, but like all of the health pickups and ammo and armor and stuff like that. It feels like this really awesome hybrid between like old games from like the 90s, early 2000s to very modern games. And the story is not terrible. It's actually pretty fun and interesting. You get to fight giant robot dogs and whatnot.
Is that the only thing you picked up, or did you pick up anything else?
I also picked up Tabletop Simulator because apparently it's got Steam Workshop support, so people just have built full mods for Tabletop Simulator that are board games. So you can now, like, I was like, oh my god, so I don't have to go buy Battlestar Galactica, the board game, to try it. I could play it on Tabletop Simulator.
Oh, that's cool.
I can play Dead of Winter on Tabletop Simulator before I, throw down the $50 to possibly $70 because it's out of print on it. Yeah, so there's a lot of there's there's the XCOM board game, which I'm really excited for, and so I was like, yeah, that's actually cool. Yeah, there's a shitload of mods that people have made that are actual board games. And card games and whatnot. So if you're ever interested in like trying that, it's a really interesting.
This is terrible right now. So I bought Formula 1 2014, and I was like, I loaded it up, played it for 90 minutes, and was like, fuck this. It's the same game as 2012. I can't believe I spent $11.99 on it. So I used the new Steam return policy and felt great. I felt so great about it that I decided to spend $34.99 on 3 other games, 2 of which I will name now. Which are Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. I heard it was kind of meh, but I picked it up on a decent sale, so I felt okay. And then I also picked up This War of Mine, which is like the opposite part of a first-person shooter. You know, when you're in a first-person shooter and you like blow by a house and there's like a civilian inside.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this. It's kind of like it's a survival, like a 2D survival game where you have to make you're like in a war-torn land and you have to. You have to make choices like there's an old couple in there with some food. Do you want to fucking like steal their food or kill these old people? Like deal with like that sort of like morality crises.
I've been really impressed. Like games have really been going down the path of questioning a lot of questioning war and a lot of what makes society today. And so I was like, wow, you know what, this is going to be one of those titles that I hope make me think. So I I picked up that Civilization, and I cannot remember what the other thing I bought was, which is really shitty. Like, I have to like go back through my receipts. I bought all three at once, so I don't. There's not something that says like, "Hey, you bought this thing."
Well, you could check the email because they email you every time.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I would have to go check, which is stupid. Like, I can't. I bought something 2 days ago, and I cannot remember what it is. Like, how shitty is that?
Yeah, that's the whitest problem.
I no kidding. No, the whitest problem is going to climb Mount Everest. That's the whitest problem because it's an entire like. I saw a preview for a movie. I went to go see Jurassic World, right? And there's this preview for a movie called Everest. Surprise! They're climbing Mount Everest and something goes wrong. And the whole time the guy's like, "I'm a mailman and I gotta prove myself to my kids." And like, there's like a bunch of other people like, "Hey, I do stuff and I'm a molecular biologist and I want to make sure I can do things outside." And I'm like, this movie does not seem interesting at all.
Well, and what's crazy is people think Everest, oh, this is this big challenging thing. It's not anymore because people like they later. I watched this report on Real Sports about it where they
with Brian Gumbel.
Yeah, they literally have made Everest not a challenge anymore because the Sherpas will like they carry like
it's basically the aggro crag.
No, it's like they have like the Sherpas will carry heated tents and stuff. They will wake up early in the morning, transfer the whole like heated tents, food, chairs, all this stuff, like all these comfortable things up there. Set up the things, like set up all the ropes, so set up any ladders they need or anything they can, plot out the path, and then you wake up at like fucking noon or whatever and just kind of like
eat a couple pancakes,
No,
watch.
Not a couple of pancakes, like fully fully cooked like cuisines that like a chef makes
some
you
caviar maybe and some anchovy.
and then
Beef tartare.
You saunter up the hill for like an hour or two in like a very safe thing. Like it's so dangerous for the Sherpas because they have to literally like climb up and down the mountain like 6 or 7 times a day. But you just get to like, I did it, and like you get to the summit and there's like 18 people up there all taking selfies like a bunch of fucking drooling idiots.
Is it really that bad?
Yes, it's that bad. It's not a challenge anymore.
So yeah, like that's why I saw the preview to this. I'm like, you are putting yourself in harm's way for no reason. Like, I understand. You want to go out there, run a marathon, go for it. But like climbing Everest is a whole other set of problems that you just why would you do that? That doesn't man's dominance over nature. That's not true. Like I don't know, it bothered me. I saw Jurassic World though. Did you guys see that?
I did.
Did you see it, Ike?
See what? It went a little glitchy on mine.
Jurassic World?
I did.
So we all saw Jurassic World.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. On a scale of 5 to 0, the 5-star rating, how many mehs would you give it?
What?
No, on a rating of 0 to 5 stars, how many mehs would you give it? Like meh.
Is equivalent to a star? Like what? I don't understand.
Yes, it's equivalent to a star.
Then why didn't you just say
on
star?
a scale of 1 to 10, how many stickers would you give that movie?
On a scale from 1 to 5, would it be a banana sticker or a pineapple sticker?
Right. That's what I'm asking. So was it how was it for you guys?
I give it a solid 2 stars.
Out of 2?
Out of 5.
Oh, okay, fine. I just want to make sure you're on the same scale.
Out of 2.5?
Yeah.
That's actually. So okay, no, I want to hear Ike's rating. Don't affect his rating yet, Eric.
Come on, I'll just go.
Don't leave. If you leave, the show's gonna die. You know that.
I would give it a 4 out of 5.
A 4. Okay, and I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. And if I had to stick with a actual star, I would do 3 because, Okay, now why, Eric? Why so low?
I don't know. I just felt like I saw everything that was cool about it in the trailers over and over again, just on the TV. So nothing surprised me. I knew exactly what was going to happen every step of the way. I mean, there were parts in it I liked. I thought it's just all CG. There's almost no practical effects in it. So it didn't strike me as like as authentic as the original, and none of them. I mean, I would say it's the second best one, but that's not going a lot because the second and third one were kind of garbage. But it was a fine movie. I thought most of the people did okay with it. I loved the two characters in the control room, Lauren Lapkus.
Yeah.
And the guy. I loved everything they did and stuff. I'm a huge fan of Lauren Lapkus. And that other guy, I don't remember his name, but I saw him in the director's other movie, Safety Not Guaranteed, and he was hilarious. I thought, it was just kind of generic monster movie. It didn't have it didn't have the wonderment that the original had, which none of them have had, because I don't think you can do that. But I'm clearly in the minority because it's made a gajillion dollars.
So what did you find that you liked about it?
I liked a lot of the throwbacks to the original Jurassic Park. I would agree that there wasn't a whole lot that I wasn't shocked where the storyline went. It was a little predictable, but I guess I was thinking it might be more like a Snakes on the Plane, and I felt like it was actually a couple notches above like a Snakes on a Plane. It was enjoyable. I didn't mind spending my money to go see it in 3D.
Now, after seeing Mad Max in theaters, this doesn't really hold up at all. I felt like this movie was made conceptualized in 1996, because 94 it came out, Jurassic Park came out, and I feel like this movie was just every kind of movie trope. They had to check a box, and you make sure they kiss, make sure they do the thing, do the stuff.
I'm a stuck-up business lady.
I'm a free, I'm a gun-toting freelancer guy from the military.
He's like, and I'm a laid-back, cool guy who gets all the ladies. We're never gonna get together.
Yeah, and then they're like, I'm angry military guy, and military, because of military reasons. You don't understand.
I'm gonna do military things because I've never seen a movie before.
Yeah.
I'm Vince Vaughn. I'm Vincent D'Onofrio, and I've never known, and I certainly didn't know that 20 years ago, for the past 20 years, these monsters have been destroying the world.
Right, right. And then the two kids in it were just like, they allude to the fact that the one little kid's a genius and the other kid's like, I like girls. Yeah. He's like, girls are cool.
Their relations, it was okay. The youngest kid, I wish that they, it's like he was so aloof in his acting that his character was supposed to be kind of autistic or on the spectrum. But I think it was just he wasn't a super strong actor, which I don't feel like blaming a kid for that. It just he's always kind of he's barely reacts to anything and stuff like that. There's not a lot of.
But now, the reason I say 3 stars and not 2, though, is because in the theater, there was some laugh-out-loud, well-timed comedic moments that
Jake
actually...
Johnson and Lauren Lapkus is amazing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Those were my favorite parts.
Just been those two in the control room the entire time, and I would have loved it.
I know. But, there was some really good parts that just made me laugh, and then it had this whole thing being a nostalgia bomb, too, because they played some stuff that kind of harkened back to the originals, or the original, because that was the only other one that I choose to remember. So, yeah, I definitely would say it's a number 2 to the original, but what I would rather do is just watch the original in the theater, in a nice big theater, nice comfy seats, full-on surround sound. I would pay the same money. I would pay more money to go just see the original in the theater again, because I think that was way more magical, and the fact that it wasn't practical effects kind of bothered me.
Yeah, and one of the things that upset me, it's in the trailer, but there's a scene of all this.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil it for you, so
there's a scene with all the pterodactyls attacking the people and stuff like that. But I felt I wanted it to go there quicker, because that's the last act of the movie.
Right.
I wanted this park, a fully functioning park with 20,000 people visiting, to fuck up real soon and people to die real quick. But in that, there was
a lot of build up. There was a lot of.
The movie is Chris Pratt walking around the jungle.
Oh, and this is my favorite part. A lot of that part where he's just walking around having a good time. I was really proud of Chris Pratt. Actually, I'm just watching the movie. I'm like, huh. he's done really well for himself. I'm like, look at him now. Like, he did the whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing. He started off at like Parks and Rec and did some stuff before that. And like, he's done really well. Now he's tough guy. Like that. I'm like, babe, you know that this guy tough guy. He's tough guy now.
Yeah,
This is great. I had a good time.
I thought that about Lauren Lapkus. I was like, oh my god, she's in a fucking Jurassic Park movie. Like, I used to watch her do improv all the time, and now she's like fucking doing it.
Yeah, and the Jake M. Johnson dude too. Like, that's the guy you're talking about.
Yeah, but he's done movies and stuff before. This is like her.
Yeah, Lauren Lapkus, and it was. I mean, like, there was a scene at the end between Jake Johnson and Lauren Lapkus that was priceless. That was just laugh out loud good.
Apparently it was improvised.
Was it real? That's so good. That is perfect. Well, so like there was plenty to like in the movie. It was definitely just a good old fashioned, and I mean old fashioned, like movie time, popcorn kind of.
It was a fine movie. Yeah.
But I don't understand why it's making so much money. Like, it was fine.
Because it's Jurassic Park. It's Jurassic Park. That's
it played off of my nostalgia. That's how it got my money. If it was like Tyrannosaurus World or something, I would have never seen the movie.
I have seen every Jurassic Park movie in the theaters, and even though like going into this one, I wasn't super stoked on it because and maybe that's part of it because I was not expecting it to be great because no Jurassic Park has been good since the original, and I don't think you can make this movie and make it anywhere near as good as the original, and that's my own personal bias. But even said that, I was like, I'm gonna go see it because it's Jurassic Park.
I did. I mean, will I ever watch it again? Probably not.
I don't know. I might watch it on TV, and I might have a completely different thing.
You mentioned that like the movie that you saw shortly before that was Mad Max. The movie I saw between Mad Max and this one, Jurassic Park, was San Andreas.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, again, it was another, like, destruction type movie. There were some parts
I was further away from your mic? Is that possible?
No, because it's right here on my head.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. It shouldn't be. Oh, it might be that it's switched over to my
it's definitely not that mic.
I'm just saying, could you please take a few more feet?
I could go further away.
Don't do it. Please make your point. We can hear you now.
You're just way laid back. You're like,
yeah, just doing the stuff in the film.
I'm just cool guy hanging out.
Yeah, I'm cool guy. I don't remember where I was going. All right.
Oh, man. No, you were talking about how you just saw San Andreas and it was kind of a popcorn, silly movie that was the same.
I expected a bad movie, but at the same time, it was the in-between one, the palate cleanser before Jurassic Park. So that might have also influenced why Jurassic Park was a little bit better for me because I didn't have before. I didn't have that Mad Max as my...
I really feel like they could have done a lot more with the characters. There just wasn't enough character development. It was just like, it felt like a mid-90s action movie where it's like, you like this guy because he's the smart one, you like this guy because that's the funny one. Like, it just, everybody kind of fit into a thing. So I think we beat it to death. We beat that the Danosaurus to death.
Speaking of Jurassic Park, though, when are we going to watch Godzilla?
Oh, let's do it this weekend. What day works for you?
How about Sunday during Father's Day?
Oh shit, we can't do it this weekend. It's Father's Day, you idiot, Joe.
But yeah, I mean, go see it. Make up your own mind. 70% Rotten Tomatoes, so that's
okay.
That means
it was getting better reviews from people from non-critics.
I actually really want to see Spy because it's at 95%, and everyone I know who's seen it says it's so funny, and I'm like, oh, because the trailer.
But I feel like what's her face plays the same character in every movie she's in.
Yeah, but it's Melissa McCarthy, Paul Feig, and apparently
Jason Statham.
Apparently, Jason Statham's hilarious in it, and now
really,
I've heard that from many different people that Jason Statham is really great in that movie.
And you're telling me I don't generally go see action comedy movies in a theater. I guess I'll try it.
That's all I hear.
I'll tell if it sucks, I'll blame you. Eric told me to see it. Eric
did direct it, so I might be biased. I am Paul Feig. It's my pseudonym.
That's this whole time. I mean, like, this whole time. We did get a email to our email inbox, but it made absolutely no sense.
No, it does. You just don't understand it.
Would you like to read this email, Ike?
This is from John, I assume, is the one you're referring to, who was the one who emailed us a few weeks ago with the long-winded, really obscure email claiming that we are the better part of the end of the world. Anyway, he says, "Dear gentlemen of JCE, how is a raven like a writing desk?" From
Don't
John.
care.
And all right, so thanks for that. I didn't get it. Did you get it? Was it something? I wrote back actually. I was compelled. I'm like, is this like a knock knock joke? So I wrote back, how? How is it different? You know, give me the punchline here.
There is no punchline. Do you know what it's from?
No, I don't.
It's from Alice in Wonderland, when the Mad Hatter asks, "How is a raven like a writing desk?" There is no answer.
I reserved. I was like, I'm not going to Google this. I want the person to respond back. But if you want to send us a kooky email, you could send it to theshow@justcoolenough.com. That is our email address. It is theshow@justcoolenough.com.
Yeah. So back to E3. I don't know.
Do we have more E3 stuff to talk
I mean,
about?
there's plenty of shit to talk about. Like, what has there been anything that you have thought of that thought like, well, we should talk about this, or something that you didn't bring up yet? Because there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's hard to be excited because a lot of it is CG trailer, like Mass Effect, and
Oh yeah, Mass Effect.
there's a new Mass Effect coming, but it's just a CG trailer. So I don't know. There's a new Hitman coming, but again, just a CG trailer, so I don't know. Tom Clancy's The Division looked interesting, but it's looked interesting for a while, so I don't know how good that's going to be. But the new Doom, oh my god.
Okay, yeah.
It needs to be slightly more colorful. It's a little too drab looking. But yeah. And at no point have you brought up Star Wars Battlefront.
Well, you know, I just we'll see what happens. I was so not impressed with all of the other Battlefronts that I'm just really I've been burned so many times I just feel like not talking about it.
Okay. Well,
I'm just like, well, I mean, is it something that looks interesting to you?
Yeah, because it's Battlefront actually made by the people who make Battlefield, by DICE. It's not some other studio doing that. It's DICE actively making Battlefront. It looks interesting. They showed a gameplay trailer, which looked heavily scripted, but my ex-friend Eric, who's currently at E3, played it and said he enjoyed it. So I don't know. I'd have to wait to get my hands on it myself. But then there's other things, like Dishonored 2 is coming out. That Dishonored was really an awesome game.
Yeah, no, Dishonored's good.
XCOM 2, you get to fight a giant snake person.
Okay, so I guess the Battlefronts trailer did sort of impress me, but I don't want to say I like it because I feel like as soon as I say, oh, this is gonna be great, it's gonna suck, just like virtual reality.
Yeah, they showed off Gears of War 4, which involved guys walking around a ruin and then running away from wind. You know.
Oh, Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's Edge,
yeah.
Again, CG trailer, but
I just feel like I'm grasping at, because everything was like you said, just CG trailers. There wasn't a lot of gameplay. There was a lot of hype. But I guess that's what E3 is. It's funny that E3 used to be this event for publishers to speak to vendors. You know, like they used to be like, "Hey, Funko Land, sell your game. We want to sell. You know, please sell our thing." But now it's really just a big stage for the big publishers to talk to consumers and have these big televised press conferences. I don't know what's stopping the big companies like Sony, Xbox, you know, Microsoft Xbox, and all the other big companies out there just doing something that they can announce on their own. You know, like
that. They do that on occasion. I
well,
mean,
like Apple does with the Worldwide Developers Conference.
Did that with Microsoft did that with the Xbox One. I think the original announcement came at an Xbox event, and then like 6 months after E3, when they fucked up E3 so royally, they had
That was sweet.
another Xbox event where they announced all the shit that was going to be good about it.
Yeah. That
They
was
changed
sweet.
their minds.
That was actually really interesting, and one of my favorite like memories of was that 2013 or 14.
Yeah, something like that.
But they were like, "Well, we're gonna watch you all the time," and then like 6 months later, like, "We're just kidding about all that stuff. We take it all back, except for the backwards compatibility. You have to wait till 2015 before you get that on
Yeah.
some of your games."
You have to own the console for 3 years, and then we'll decide maybe we'll add backwards compatibility.
Maybe.
Kind of.
Maybe with some popular games you can play them
That's
again.
what I love about E3 because it's literally it's been 3 years of dudes wearing jackets but T-shirts underneath saying no one gives a shit about backwards capability, and if you do, fuck you, you're not our audience. And now they're like, backwards compatibility has always been a big part of the Xbox plan.
Well, you know, and I think I think what happens is like it's not a big deal once you buy the new console.
Yeah.
But it's one of those selling points. Like, well, I have this huge backlog. In case I want to play them,
Well,
you know.
and so many people have Xbox 360s and still actively play it, so I think they're trying to now dip into that audience. And
They
get them
really
to-
have to, and I think it was a big misstep not to do that at the beginning. But everybody knows that. I'm not saying anything crazy.
And I've always stood by backwards compatibility is stupid, and as much as it'd be fun to have, it's not a selling point for me, and I've never given a shit about it.
I cared about it when I went PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2. I cared about it, and then I realized it was irrelevant.
Yeah, because
but
I remember being in like a GameStop and some kid with his mom was buying a PlayStation 2, and then he was like, "Will it play my PlayStation 1 games?" He's like, "I mean, it will, but you're not gonna want to."
Right, yeah, and nobody wants to. Like, Ike, have you ever popped in an old game and played it backwards compatibility style?
I think I did play some of the Final Fantasies on the PlayStation 2 that I got for PlayStation 1.
See, and like I've done that with the Gran Turismo series on
But it was for
PlayStation.
nostalgia, and I can't say it was like, oh, I'm going to play through the whole game again. It's like, oh, I wouldn't mind pulling this out for like a quickie, if you will, and just play a little bit of it. And then you're like,
But
oh, that
then
was cool. But now I also remember how much the graphics suck now because I've
Right.
grown accustomed to something that doesn't have polygons and weird shading.
Because I was wanting to like. There's a couple of GameCube like the Metroid games for the GameCube. I never got a chance to play, so I thought. But my Wii doesn't have backwards compatibility because it's the later versions. And then like Silent Hill 2, everyone talks about it, but the remake version is so god awful that I thought maybe I'll get the PS2 version. But my PS3 doesn't have backwards compatibility, so but I don't. It's not like I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, no. I'm like, nah, fuck it. I probably wouldn't have cared that
Right,
much.
and the similar thing happened to me, like where I had the PlayStation 2 and I put in the Gran Turismo, the first one, and I'm like, why? Why am I doing this? This looks absolutely terrible. I don't want to do this at all. So I totally get where that's coming from.
Next, I'm going to put Pong in and wonder why the graphics aren't 3D.
Well, yeah, I think it's one of those things to help like dads sell it to the mom, or like it's to sell to the parents. Like, look at
No,
that
it's
$3,000 worth of games.
It's not for moms or dad. It's for dumb nerds that think it matters, which it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's never mattered, and people who think it matters are wrong.
I don't know too many people that go back and play. Like, let's do it now. In fact, even on Steam, it's like after I finish a game or get far enough, I'm never going to go back to it. And even if I do, it's like by accident. I'm like, oh man, I remember why I hated this thing. I loaded up the Game of Thrones, You're a Guy at the Wall game. I don't even know what it's called. It's
Like an action game from like years ago.
Oh my gosh, what a piece of
I
shit!
never played it, but yeah,
it is such a bad game. Stay away from it.
So I mean, backwards compatibility is kind of whatever, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of not. I'm on a non-console kick. I don't know if I will even get a console because there's nothing really coming that I care about.
I know, right? And like even the
Uncharted,
exclusives,
yeah.
like they're like this is a PlayStation. Like the PlayStation's the place where you can get all your Call of Duty action. It's the place where you get the exclusives for a month, and then you can get this other cool thing for a month. But don't worry, because PlayStation's the best.
There has never been a game or franchise that has ever drawn me into wanting to buy a specific console because that game is on there. I'm like, oh, I enjoyed Final Fantasy.
Gran
VII.
Turismo sold me the PlayStation 2. I knew it was going to be on.
Sold me an Xbox. I had a PlayStation 2. I played it a bunch, but I saw the things for the commercials for Halo. I was like, I need to get one of those. So I bought a pre-owned Xbox and Halo 1, and I beat it in a day. And I was like, this is so good.
It was really good though.
Well, maybe more specifically, it's like I enjoyed Mario Brothers. I enjoyed Mario 2, Mario 3, and then I ended up moving on to a PlayStation and a Sega and things like that.
That's
And then
because
some of the
Sega
other
did what Nintendo don't, Ike.
Yeah,
Yeah, but-
I bought
but I
a
mean-
GameCube specifically for Resident Evil 4. I bought I think I bought the Wii for Skyward Sword, even though it was garbage.
Just recently, I bought an Xbox 360 for Destiny and sold it when I realized how shitty it was. Like, why would I do this to myself? So yeah.
Like, I mean, I have an Xbox. Then the only games I
But
have
no-
are Rock
but-
Band 1, 2, 3, and Beatles.
But there's barely any exclusive titles that really move me right now. And especially like it's so funny because the home of Tomb Raider is now Microsoft, where it was a exclusive Sony thing. It's like it just totally switched
but
around.
it swaps around. It used to be that Metal Gear was a PlayStation thing. Final Fantasy used to be exclusively PlayStation, and now they're like buy it on the Xbox and get this.
Get the iPad version for free.
Yeah.
Just really mixing it up.
I used to buy things like PS3. I got it for Metal Gear. Metal Gear's coming out on the PC now. So what do I need? The only thing it's like Uncharted is the only thing, and I don't know if I care that much for it. I like Uncharted a lot, but I don't feel like buying a PS4 just for Uncharted. And besides that, I can't think of another video game that's not coming out for the PC.
The only thing I haven't bought a PS3. That's the one I hadn't bought, and I was always like, I'm just gonna wait for the game that really sells it to me. And the only thing that came close was The Last of Us, and now I'm like, nah, I don't really care about
I
it
enjoyed
anymore.
The Last of Us a lot. I'm glad I had my PlayStation 3 so I can play Metal Gear and The Last of Us and Heavy Rain and a lot of it had a lot of really great exclusives. But the time of exclusivity is kind of ended with this new generation. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like there are a handful of first-party exclusives unless
Right.
you're Nintendo, and then the rest is all multi-platform on the PC anyways.
It's quoted for truth.
Speaking of quotes for truth, I think it was time we stopped talking about these video games and start plugging each other.
Finally! Oh man, it's gonna
At
be
least
angry.
this may be a normal size show or an incredibly short one because I don't remember because we've restarted 7 times already. So,
Actually, guys, I haven't been feeling up to this point. I was wondering if we could just restart right now.
yeah, okay.
Hello, internets. Okay,
Hold on, let
I'm
me-
Joe, and I'm.
Ah,
This is the actual real start of the show. Everything was pre-show up until this point.
okay.
Anyway, Eric, sorry for running all over you.
I don't really have a plug for this week, so you can always just follow me on Twitter. I'm at Duncor, DUNCOR.
My plug for this week is Social Media Day Detroit. It's happening next Friday, the 26th, and
No,
I'm
I'm
gonna.
with Ike. Can we just restart?
Oh God. Okay, fine. So we're gonna actually restart the show. So don't worry about Social Media Day Detroit on Friday the 26th next week. I'm gonna be there, but don't worry about it. We're gonna restart the show real soon. Also, make sure you rate and review us on iTunes. That's very cool and very important to us. It helps us out in getting ranked, and that's interesting. And some other things too. So Ike, what do you got to plug this week?
You can find me on BattleNet at Railvis, and then it's the number symbol, 1410. If you want to play Hearthstone or Heroes of the Storm or pretty much whatever, we've been crushing it this week.
Yeah, we have. We have been crushing it, and there is no other way to put it down. We had a hat trick last night.
We did, and then we played almost all specialists the other day and
That
one
was a fun-
support and won in the mines map in less than 8 minutes with
Yeah.
only one golem.
Come play with us. Add Rail. He'll hook you up with me too.
With all the peoples.
Yeah.
You
Anyway,
know, I'll add you to the Skype call and then talk to you while he's doing other things too, because
yeah, that's how.
he has no priorities. He's
That's-
been in a Skype call with them the entire time while he's doing this show, probably.
Yep, me too, though. As always, you can start your own podcast on Shout Engine for free. Go to shoutengine.com to start your own podcast in under 5 minutes. And next week, we'll be making a big announcement about live streaming on Just Cool Enough here, so stay tuned for that.
Well, until next week, have a wonderful week. That threw me off because I was like, "Aren't we announcing that?" Okay, whatever. Fuck off.
Oh,
then.
let's just start again.
What? Oh God, we're gonna have to
Again.
start the show over. That's it. Yeah, I don't like the way it ended. Let's restart the show.
Fuck you guys. I gotta go bowling tonight.
God damn, when did you get a life?
Like
Hey.
a couple weeks ago.
Oh, all right.
You going to play with your balls?
Yeah.
Bowling balls.